The Elder Scrolls universe is a place of many fantastical races, magics, creatures, and places. Like all fiction, it is inclined to borrow bits and pieces from others. The traditional ideas of elves, dwarves, and orcs are all spawned from the popularity of Tolkien's Middle-earth, and at that, even The Lord of the Rings draws inspiration from ancient Norse mythology, reappropriating certain elements. This is the nature of fiction, mythology, and stories. They build upon one another and develop and change depending on the story that wants to be told. The Elder Scrolls has done a pretty good job at defining itself with unique interpretations of the Tolkien-esque traditions of fantasy. Instead of all the elves being angelic and beautiful, noble and perfecting, you have the Wood Elves who have taken nature preservation so far that they have become carnivorous cannibals. You have the High Elves who practice eugenics and have set forth a campaign of genocide and heretic hunting. Even the Orcs, being a form of corrupted elf, draws similarly from Tolkien's work, but they are not the demonic army of Sauron, but instead outcasts and master smiths. The dwarves in the Elder Scrolls are but elves of atheism and logical excess. Most of the typical fantasy archetypes have been subverted in some way. However, there also exists elements of other fiction that have been more or less directly imported into the world of the Elder Scrolls. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Scott from Fudge Muppet, and today I'm here to take you on a journey of inquiry and discovery, and attempt to discern the possibly unique nature of Mithril and Adamantium Armor. It is usually at this point that we look to our real world for inspiration behind these armor types and materials, and usually in the Elder Scrolls there is some precedence in reality, whether it be a material such as malachite, bone, or amber. But the curiosity of these two metal types is that they are both entirely fictional. Mithril is a creation of J.R.R. Tolkien, and it appears throughout his work, but what you would most likely remember it from is the Fellowship of the Ring. Presuming you have watched the film adaptations, then you would surely remember the scene where Frodo is stabbed by the troll's spear, only to be saved by the protective capacity of Mithril. Now at first, I presumed that Mithril's appearance in the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion was due to the popularity of the Lord of the Rings films that released between 2001 and 2003, with Oblivion being released 3 years later in 2006. This would be a very reasonable conclusion, since the success of the films greatly affected the Elder Scrolls in many ways. Perhaps I will make a video in detail someday about the Lord of the Rings influence on the Elder Scrolls franchise, but I mean, just look at the Oblivion gates, then look at the Eye of Sauron, and tell me you can't see some kind of similarity. That is but one small example, but anyways, turns out that Mithril, while appearing only in Oblivion out of the games that were made in the 21st century, it did, however, appear in Elder Scrolls II Daggerfall, which once again was an import from the Lord of the Rings, but it predated the movie trilogy. This quote from the Fellowship of the Ring book is useful in describing the material as it is in Tolkien's work. Mithril. All folk desired it. It could be beaten like copper and polished like glass, and the dwarves could make of it a metal, light and yet harder than tempered steel. Its beauty was like to that of common silver, but the beauty of Mithril did not tarnish or grow dim. If you were to compare this description to the mail-like mithril armor of Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion, then you can surely see the resemblance. For all intents and purposes, it seems to be practically the exact same thing. But Elder Scrolls Mithril is surely not just Middle-earth Mithril. The Elder Scrolls world lacks the dwarves to mine the metal. Well, at least in the eras where the games are set, the Dwemer are long gone and they instead favour their dwarven metal, copper in colour, which we discussed last time in our dwarven metal video. Within the Elder Scrolls, Mithril has appeared in use throughout the lands of High Rock, Hammerfell, and Cyrodiil. However, the nature of the material in both Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion and the Elder Scrolls II Daggerfall remains unknown. Whether it is a material that is mined, or an alloy, or perhaps some magical gift from the gods, we do not know. But perhaps some speculation is in order. It is unlikely that the Dwemer, or as they are also called, the dwarves, are responsible for its creation, but perhaps, if I were to think of powerful materials in the Elder Scrolls universe, one that is used for other lightweight armor and weapons and also matches in color, I would say the best bet is that it is a cyrodiilic style of armor made from quicksilver. We have discussed the use of quicksilver in the Nordic armor and weapons video, and it is also used for elven armor and elven weapons, but it is likely that quicksilver is the main ingredient in the armor called mithril. Perhaps it is an alloy of both quicksilver and steel, or some other material like moonstone. Unless it makes a return in Elder Scrolls 6, it's likely we will not know its true origin, but quicksilver seems to be the most likely guess. What do you guys think? Now we must talk about the other imported material that comes from another fictional universe, this time from the world of superheroes and supervillains, the Marvel comic universe. Yep, we are going to be talking about adamantium, the shiny stuff that is near unbreakable, the stuff that coats Wolverine's skeleton and claws. Well, adamantium makes an appearance in the Elder Scrolls 1 Arena, Elder Scrolls 2 Daggerfall, and of the 21st century Elder Scrolls games, it was only in the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. Adamantium, also called adamantite, is a lustrous grey or green metal which is used to create adamantium armor. This heavy ore can be used to produce very strong and medium weight protection for its wearer. Now, we do know that adamantium is in fact a straight up ore that can be found in certain mines or underground areas. This information is helpful because it tells us that adamantium is likely the sole material versus something like mithril, which could either be a raw material or an alloy. We just don't know with the information available. So in the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, adamantium was this armor set right here, which was added in the Tribunal DLC. There was also a free plugin called the Helm of Tohan, which added a small quest where you can claim the unique adamantium helmet called the Helm of Tohan. Next to nothing is known of its origins or who this Tohan was, much like adamantium itself. All we know is that it simply exists. There is little to no explanation, however, for its existence. As far as its connection to the adamantium of the Marvel Universe goes, there isn't much other than its steel-looking colour and the fact that it is a hard, powerful metal, though the adamantium of the Marvel Universe seems to be a far stronger material, considering that there are other materials in the Elder Scrolls universe that outperform adamantium in terms of armor rating. The other curious thing about adamantium is that apparently it was thought to have been used in the construction of the Adamantine Tower. The tower in the middle of the Iliac Bay on the Isle of Balfiera, the tower made by the gods where they decided Lorkhan's fate. Perhaps that implies some special godly nature behind the material since it was used by the gods in the tower's construction, but then again, that's pure speculation. Now, while we're on the topic of DLC armors from Morrowind, I'd like to bring to your attention two armor types built for women that come with the La Femme official plugin. This free DLC introduces two new armors, the Domina armor and the Gold armor. You can choose to wear these as male, but they do look kind of funny. The Domina armor is a bit of a meme right here. It is quite literally a dominatrix outfit, leather, high heels, the whole getup. So I guess technically that makes BDSM canon in the Elder Scrolls universe. Do what you will with that information. The gold armor only comes with a helmet, chest piece, and pauldrons, but I do have to say, it looks rather cool. The helmet especially gives some really cool Egyptian or Persian vibes. Presumably this has been made with gold, but gold isn't the most effective armor, so it is likely that by gold, it is either gold leaf or gold plating, used as decoration on top of a stronger material, which is more likely considering that the Indoril armor of the Ordinators is stated to use the same gold leafing technique. But there are two armors that you probably didn't know about. The Elder Scrolls universe, while unique and creative, is not devoid of its more stock standard fantasy tropes. Mithril borrowed from The Lord of the Rings, adamantium borrowed from Marvel Comics, dominatrix armor borrowed from your mum's closet. I'm only kidding, but in all seriousness, I hope you enjoyed what minimal exploration we could do of these armor types. It is unfortunate that adamantium and mithril are left so unexplained. I feel like if they gave it some proper attention and uniquely integrated the armor into the lore of the Elder Scrolls universe, it would feel like less of a lazy imported armor. But regardless, thanks so much for watching. Please do feel free to recommend any material or armor type investigations you would like to see next. This video in particular had been requested a few times, we saw it and we did it, so I highly encourage you to comment your desires down below. Thanks so much again. My name is Scott from Fudge Muppet. Social media links are in the description. Subscribe for more Elder Scrolls, give it a like if you enjoyed the video, and I'll be back to nerd out with you again next time.